everybody. So today's podcast is one of our wrap-ups that me and David do every quarter. And it ended up being such a long one that I thought it made the most sense to divide it into 2 episodes of the podcast. So I just wanted to explain. So this will be part 1 of this wrap-up. And I hope you enjoy it. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. We're so excited today. We are here to talk about the summer movie season, the start of May through the end of July. And it's sort of weird that that's the season, but it's what we kind of have to go with because we'd be here all day if we counted through April through August. But we have a lot of fun talking about these movies, and my friend David is here to nosh it all out.
I am here. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, thank you. So what are your overall thoughts about this summer as far as the movies go?
I'm actually glad you asked that because I think it's been a weird year for movies. There's not many movies I hate, but there's very few that I love as well. It's just kind of a meh year so far, and this summer definitely encapsulates that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like Endgame was just so epic and so, at least in my opinion, so good that especially for blockbusters, it's just kind of, I don't know if everything just kind of pales in comparison, at least for me, or if that was just kind of sucked all the energy out of the room. I don't know, but yeah, especially you kind of had to. I feel like you had to really dig deep to find the really good blockbusters this summer for sure.
Yeah, and I think most of them are good, but I mean that's not usually the standard that I hold for summer blockbusters for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. There's some that I liked more than the general consensus, but in my top 20 for the year, I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 20 are mainstream releases.
Okay.
So that's not the best. So anyway, it's gonna be fun to talk about that. There were some hidden gems. Hopefully people will check out. So let's get started. All right. So May 3rd, bunch of releases. First one I'm gonna talk about is a little film called Plus One. You can watch this on demand right now. This is a romantic comedy about 2 people that are friends that decide to help each other out. They have like 10 weddings that they have to go to in 1 year. So they make a deal that they will be each other's plus ones. And of course, they end up falling for each other by the end of the movie. It's not the most original story in the world, but it stars Maya Erskine and Jack Quaid. And Jack Quaid, I think we're going to see him around. He is very charming in this movie, and it was pretty funny. They did a good job. I thought they had pretty good chemistry. If you like kind of raunchy, R-rated rom-coms, I think this one is a fun one, so people should check out.
Okay, yeah, I've seen like the movie poster for this, but I didn't know anything about it. So
yeah, I have it in my ranking for the year at 27.
Okay, out of how many movies?
I have seen in the feature films, I've seen 99.
Okay.
So I have it at 27. But it was a fun little romantic comedy. So, okay. Then we have Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile. This was released to Netflix on the 3rd. And I saw this at Sundance, and I didn't really like it. I felt like it was I understand what they were trying to do in painting Ted Bundy as the kind of character he was when he was on trial, and trying to like put you in that picture of like the way that media portrays things, the way that, so that you would be kind of bamboozled by his charms, I guess. But I felt like it was just so weird. Like the tone, even the music at certain spots, it was like, are we supposed to be rooting for this guy? And I don't know, they went too far. And like literally there's a point where he escapes from the courthouse, and the way it's portrayed in the movie is like, yay, he's escaped. Like, woohoo. And I'm just like, what is this? Is not a good thing. I don't know, it just didn't work for me, despite some decent performances. I have it really low just because I don't know. It just felt kind of, I was just sort of repulsed by it, by what they did. And so I have it at 93. It's one of my least
Wow.
favorites of the year.
Yeah, I saw the reviews for this and they were pretty mixed, so I skipped this one.
Yeah, it's not good. And the more I thought about it, the more I didn't like it. uh, so, all right. Then also on the third is this movie called All Is True. And this movie, it didn't give it fresh, but I'd still kind of recommend it because it's ridiculous. It is Kenneth Branagh directed, Kenneth Branagh stars as William Shakespeare in the end of his life, and it has Judi Dench and Ian McKellen, and it is so borderly on a like Blackadder Monty Python thing. It is so ridiculous, this movie. It's like if you were gonna see something that's kind of foppishly making fun of British dramas, this would be the kind of thing that you'd see, except for that's taking itself very seriously. I don't know, even his nose was ridiculous. The makeup was ridiculous. Like they're and and they're all selling it with like huge vibrato and huge, gravitas, and that made it more funny. It was really bad, but also entertaining because it's just so theatrical. I could see how it would be a better play. I think it's based on a play, but it was just too silly for me. I have it at 70 because I did
Yeah.
enjoy it because it was ridiculous, but it's not good.
Yeah, I haven't even heard of this one. I swear I've watched some movies this summer.
Yeah. I know usually it's the reverse. Usually it's like but yeah, it was a mess. So the third also is one we both saw called Long Shot. And what did you think of it?
So I enjoyed Long Shot. I thought it was an interesting take on a rom-com. I know they market it as kind of the reverse Pretty Woman. Um,
Uh,
I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't as good as it had been hyped up to be. It didn't leave a lasting impression on me, but I mean, I would recommend it.
Yeah, I'm basically the same. I thought it was fun, especially I liked his friend, played by Shay Jackson. I thought his performance was great, and he was hilarious. And I felt like he kind of made the movie work because you needed one person in the script who was calling Seth Rogen's character out on his, baloney, and otherwise, I don't know. He was just too much for me in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
And his jacket was the ugliest thing I've ever seen. I hated that jacket so much. And his windbreaker. Oh,
Right.
it's
I
like,
mean, we all
take it
had them
off.
in the 90s.
I was like, take it off. Why? Why do you have that? And it is kind of a groaner, the whole like boring schleb, like it's the gorgeous woman. Like that trope is kind of annoying. But I loved the ending, and I thought it was sweet enough, rom-commy enough that it worked for me because I like rom-coms. So I have it at 38.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it still worked for me. I should make that
Yeah.
clear. And just the fact that I sounded that lukewarm, this should show you what I think of this year because I have this at 15.
Oh. Oh, wow. Yeah, interesting. Okay. So then Ugly Dolls, and I I liked Ugly Dolls. I thought Ugly Dolls was sweet. I thought it had a nice message, and I thought the animation was bright, colorful, and most people hated it. I actually liked the songs. I thought they were perfectly pleasant, and I just enjoyed it. I thought it was a sweet little movie, and I thought the villain was kind of annoying. It has its flaws, but overall, I walked away being like, that was cute, and so I have it at 57.
Okay. Yeah, this was certainly not bad by any means. I
Uh-huh.
do think the music was the best part. Um,
Yeah,
Especially there's one song that Janelle Monáe sings. It's called All Dolled Up. And
yeah,
the fact that I know the name and I can picture the melody in my head 3 months after I've seen it, that's a good sign for that song at least.
yeah,
Um, I thought the plot was pretty good. It didn't really excite me though, and I don't know. It was just kind of a weird film, like mixing the dolls with these people, and I don't know. It didn't completely work for me, but I still have it at 50 out of 76. So, like I said, there's not a lot of movies I hate this year, so this one was goodish. Yeah.
yeah. I just feel like people are treating it like it's one of the worst anime films ever,
Oh, not even
and
close.
and I don't know. I thought it was sweet, and
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. So, all right. Then on the 8th, we have Wine Country. And this is one of my biggest disagreements with my fellow associates at Rotten Tomatoes, because this thing is like it's 65 or something percent, and I
Mhm.
do not understand it at all. I thought it was awful. I thought it was not funny at all. You have all these funny people, and I hate that when it's just like I feel like sometimes it's just assumed, oh well, let's get all these funny people together, and oh then the movie will be funny. That's not true. You have to give them a good script, and I felt like it was just so lazy in the sense that so many movies are just like, ooh, girls are doing it, that makes it edgy and funny, and I hate that. I thought it was awful. It's one of my worst of the year. I shocked that so many people seem to like it. I have it at 97.
Oh wow, that's
I
pretty low.
really disliked it. I thought it
Yeah.
was awful.
I thought it looked pretty good, but I never got around to watching this.
Yeah. So, all right. Then on the 10th, we have Pokemon Detective Pikachu. What did you think of this one?
So I thought visually this was a pretty good movie. I liked what they did. It felt like a big movie. Um, I've never been into Pokemon. I don't know anything about them. I can name maybe like seven of them.
Uh huh.
And I really do think that like that knowledge or that love for Pokemon was important for enjoying this film. And I was hoping it wouldn't be, but I just found myself bored a little bit, and I didn't really understand the dynamics between a lot of these creatures. So it didn't completely work for me. I was still entertained, but it wasn't a favorite of mine for sure. I have this at 41 for the year.
Yeah. And how many total do you have?
76.
Okay. Yeah. So this Velvet Buzzsaw is actually my delineating line between fresh and rotten. This I just barely went fresh on Velvet Buzzsaw at 67, and I have Detective Pikachu at 66.
Oh, okay.
So I just barely went fresh on it. I thought that it was creative enough and visually interesting enough, and that Ryan Reynolds was funny enough, and it was cute enough to barely go fresh on. Yeah, I agree that that the whole anything with the villain was super boring and so obvious and so predictable. I think that the stuff with the girlfriend wasn't very good. That female character, but I don't know. It was just cute enough, just barely enough for me to recommend it. So,
Okay. See,
yeah,
yeah, and you're talking about the villain and the girlfriend, and I'm like, wait, I don't remember that.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
remember a villain. I
yeah,
don't remember a girlfriend.
yeah.
So that's not a great
Understandable.
sign. No.
So you saw The Hustle. I didn't get to that one.
Oh, well, poor you. Poor you. No. Yeah, so The Hustle is actually the lowest movie on this list for me.
Yeah.
It was just very, very, very bland. I felt like it was wasted potential. It had a pretty good premise there. Um, there just weren't many laughs at all. It just didn't work. Um, I didn't hate it, even though it's my lowest one. There's no movie I hated this summer. I wish.
Uh,
I'd love for movies to make me feel something, but
yeah.
yeah, I put this at 66.
Okay. Yeah. It looked, I actually like, I thought the trailers, it looked funny to me, but
Hmm.
from everybody I heard, it wasn't good. So, yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but we'll see. It's too bad because Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, which is based on, is actually really funny. So,
Hmm.
oh well. Okay. So then we had Palms on the 10th, and this movie is sweet enough. I think if you were watching something on cable or whatever and you watched it and you're like, oh, that was cute enough, the women have enough chemistry and it's a nice message. And but the raunchy humor kind of turned me off quite a bit. It it felt kind of like an extended episode of the Golden Girls, but raunchier. But that kind of that whole like, I don't know, Golden Girls of like, ooh, Blanche is, sleeping with people. How funny! And I that can be very funny, but I don't know. It's better on a 30-minute rather than
Hmm.
90-minute whatever. And I just grew kind of tired of it. But it's not awful. But I have it at 69, so it's right on that. It's rotten, but I didn't hate it.
Okay.
So I have it 69. Then yeah, there's a whole bunch here. I'll just rattle off real quick. Photograph is a movie that I saw at Sundance, and there was so much I liked about this movie. It's about this man who ends up taking this photograph of this, it's all set in India, of this woman that's like totally out of his league. She's from like a rich family and there are things anyway, and they end up through various contrivances, they end up pretending to be engaged because his grandma is like super nosy. And anyway, I love that kind of plot, but I really dislike the ending a lot, and it kind of ruined it for me. So I have it at 76. And then A Dog's Journey, and this is one of our dog movies for the year, and it was such a bizarre family film. I was baffled by it. I mean, seriously, not only do all the dogs die and the same dog gets reincarnated as these different dogs, so you have to see multiple dog deaths, but like seriously, there was like abuse and domestic violence and cancer, and the script was terrible. There's one point where one of the dog owners gets cancer and his girlfriend is supposed to be like this horrible person, and it's her response, he tells her he has cancer. Ugh, I hate hospitals. Which was hilarious but ridiculous. And it was awful. I hated it. I have it at 92.
Oh
And
wow.
it was really bad. I just
Okay.
can't imagine anyone thinking that's appropriate for a family film. It was bizarre. Um, and then The Souvenir. This is very praised out of all the festivals, and everybody seemed to love it. But I did not like it at all. It is just, it's about this toxic relationship. It's filmed very pretty, and Tilda Swinton's daughter is the lead, and she's quite good. Tilda Swinton is in
Hmm.
it. But it's just this toxic relationship, and that's all it is. It's just over. It's felt so repetitive to me, and I just did not care about any of these people. They were awful. I do not get it. I don't understand why people love it so much in the indie world. I don't get it. I have it at 82. I did not like it. And then The Sun is also a Star. I was actually kind of hopeful because I liked the book and I thought there was a lot of interesting things they could do with it. but man, they turned it into it is this movie was so corny even for me. I don't know. And I didn't feel great chemistry between the two leads, unfortunately. It was just too sappy for me. It was disappointing. There were all these like montages and talking about the cosmic space and the world and how we all fit in, and then you'd see all these montages of like people laughing and the stars, and it was too much. I have it at 73. And then last is Halston. This I saw at Sundance, and it was so bizarre. This documentary of the designer Halston. They had some really good interviews, but they framed it as this like murder mystery with this like person investigating and like looking at files and stuff, and like you think there's gonna be some big reveal of like, ooh, Halston, but there's nothing. It's like a normal human. It was so bizarre to me. I thought it was terrible. And so I have it at 89. It was not good. And so there you go. That's sort of a quick rundown
Well,
of a
there's another
bunch.
one that you skipped over that I was interested in. The Biggest Little Farm.
Oh yeah, yeah, The Biggest Little Farm. So yes, so this movie, it is a good. I enjoyed it. It is very stressful. I'm like, I am never getting into organic farming. I can tell you that right now, because there was just like one thing after another, and but they played it real cute, and the only thing is it was a little bit confusing how they got the funding to do this farm, especially as just one thing goes wrong after another. And I forget where I heard it was like anybody can get a loan if you're a white couple in Pasadena, evidently, because they kind of breeze by that and don't really explain how they were able to get what's having no experience, were able to get all this funding. So that was the only thing I wish they'd elaborated a little bit more on, but there were cute little animated sequences to transition between the different parts, and they seem like a real nice couple. But oh my gosh, I mean seriously, just one thing. If it's not gerbils eating eating the ground cover, it's birds eating all the stone fruit. It's just like wow, it's amazing we have any food at all with all the things that could go wrong. But I have that at 39.
Okay.
So there you go. Okay. Then Aladdin. So this was our Disney remake. And
You
uh,
say that as if we have one.
yeah, I know. That's true. One of our Disney remakes of
Yes.
Aladdin. And I was not as high on this as most of my friends. Everyone else seemed to like it better than me. I There were things I liked about it. I thought that when Will Smith got into genie mode, uh, I mean, when Will Smith was in sort of Hitch mode, I thought that he was pretty funny and charming. But I thought that him in Blue Genie mode was not good. I didn't like it. I didn't like Friend Like Me, and I didn't like Prince Ali. I thought they were just bland. It felt like to me a sort of cruise ship version of Aladdin. And I felt like the ending I thought was really odd. The choices they made, and the way I liked the song "Speechless," but I thought it really stuck out and didn't fit to me. And I just thought they sapped a lot of the humor out of it instead of replacing it. Because the Broadway musical, they replace the Robin Williams riffing with like new jokes, and instead this they didn't. It just wasn't funny anymore, which I thought was a shame. Like Iago's not funny at all and was the worst at the end. I hated that. So I don't know. I have it at 68. It's right after Velvet Buzzsaw, so it's it's right on that line. But I did go rotten on it. I can't recommend people see it when you can just stay at home and watch a better version.
Well, we're gonna have to deviate here a bit. I actually think this is one of the better Disney remakes,
Uh huh.
which isn't saying too much because I'm not generally huge on them.
Yeah.
I think the Jungle Book is up there as definitely the best one. But
Mm-hmm.
I was actually pleasantly surprised with this. While I didn't love it, I enjoyed certain things about it. And
Yeah.
one
I mean, I
thing,
didn't hate it. Like I said, it's right on
yeah,
that line for me.
right, right, right. The thing that I did enjoy the most was Will Smith, and everything about his character worked for me. I thought if you can't have Robin Williams, I thought this was a great way to go.
Uh-huh.
And I really enjoyed those music numbers that you said you don't like. They just really brought me nostalgia. I found myself smiling as those were going on. Um, I thought some of the other acting was kind of painful, especially Aladdin. I did not think he was a very good actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you on that new song that Jasmine sang. That was kind of pointless. It it feels like in these movies they always throw in a song, a new song,
Yeah.
with the thought, oh, maybe this could be nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, and it just felt so different than the other
Mhm.
music because it was written by different people.
Right.
It it just stuck out, and Jafar I hated. I thought Jafar was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't like that version.
Yeah. It seems like they have a hard time capturing in these like remakes the charisma that a lot of the villains had in the original one.
Yeah.
Certainly Aladdin's not the only one that does that.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, but I have this at 24, so
I can understand that. Yeah. So, all right. Then we have Booksmart. And so this movie is your raunchy teenage comedy. But the reason why it won me over is I did think it was actually pretty funny. I liked Billy Lord, especially as this like crazy person. But I thought that the message of friendship was actually really sweet between the two of them, and especially when they have that fight towards the end, and that felt pretty authentic to me. And uh some of the like partying shenanigans I don't relate to at all, as far as high school. But I liked it better than I thought I was going to, honestly. And I so I have it at 30. I
okay.
enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I also like this better than I expected, which says a lot because I expected to really like this. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, so there's a few movies, like a very few movies this year that I just really loved, and this
Mhm.
is one of them.
Mhm.
In fact, this is probably the cutoff. I have this at 6 for the year.
Mhm.
So I'd say probably my top 6 movies of the year are ones that I'm just gonna love and
Mhm.
revisit in years to come. Yeah, I thought everything worked. The jokes worked. I liked the main characters. I liked all the side characters, which usually it's one or the other in these type of movies. But yeah, everything just came together for me.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single complaint about this, so I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Some of the adult characters, that would be my only. I didn't really love Jason Sudeikis. I thought they underused. Um. Oh my gosh, Lisa Kudrow,
Hmm.
and so some of the, and that weird thing with the one of the teachers like flirting with one of the students even though he was technically
Oh yeah,
overage. That was weird. Some of the adult stuff wasn't perfect for me, but I did really enjoy it, and it's typically not my kind of thing. So uh, i I think that's saying a lot for as high as I have it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So then Brightburn you saw.
I did, yeah. So this is our dark take on Superman. What if Superman was evil? I really like the concept for this. The execution was just okay. Um, if you like gore, which I do, this has some pretty gory moments in it. Especially there's something with a car wreck that I was like, wow, they went there with that. But um, yeah, for the most part, it didn't give me enough reason to believe that this kid would be so evil. Um, it almost feels a little tone deaf at the moment. It almost is like, oh, this foreign person is evil, and
uh
uh, it almost gave me like that sort of xenophobia. But I'm sure that's not what they were going for. Um, and they certainly set it up for a sequel, which I've heard that they are working on. So it's just okay. It's pretty evenly in the middle for me this year, so it's at 38, which I think is exactly halfway through my list.
Yeah. I can understand. That's kind of what I've heard from most people. I feel like it's sort of the concept is a little bit better than the execution.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, then Echo in the Canyon, this documentary about the LA music scene in the 1960s. It's got the Beach Boys, the Byrds, Buffalo Springfield, the Mamas and the Papas, all profiled. And that part I really, really liked. I thought they're doing this tribute concert with Jacob Dylan. He's the narrator and lead interview. Jacob Dylan, and then you have Cat Power and Regina Spektor and these new people. And even though I respect all those new people as artists, I felt like that part of it was kind of distracting from the point of the movie was about these, about the 1960s. And I kind of wish they had gotten rid of that part and just focused on the artists that we were there for, and had them, their musical performances, their other things. But it was still, as somebody who loves that time period of music, it was still worth a watch, I think. So I have it at 57.
Okay.
And
Heard good things about that.
yeah, if you like that kind of music, you definitely need
Hmm.
to see it. And then the on the 29th we had Always Be My Maybe. This was on Netflix, and it's classic romantic comedy. Two grow up together, but then get separated, and she ends up becoming famous. This famous chef, and he is working for his dad's AC company and repair, but they end up meeting back again, and that chemistry is there. And we have a extended cameo from Keanu Reeves, which was hilarious. And the ending to this movie was perfect. I absolutely loved this film. I thought it was so funny. I thought it was so sweet. Such great chemistry between Ali Wong and Randall Park. They did a great job. And it's just my kind of movie. It's absolutely what I love. And I have it at number 10. It's one of my favorites of the
Oh,
year.
well.
It
Okay. Yeah,
was
I need to see this.
it was so good. I absolutely loved it. And so there we go. If you like romantic comedies, you will like it. So, okay. Then on the 31st, we have Godzilla King of Monsters. And this movie I did not like at all. I thought I was I knew going into this was not my genre. I don't typically love monster movies. There's not usually my favorite, but I thought at least it would have awe and spectacle that I liked, but I didn't even like that. I thought it was muddy. I thought you could hardly see anything that was happening the whole time. You have these monster fights, and it's just obfuscated by continual rain, continual fog. I couldn't even see what was happening for the most of the time. It felt like a Transformers movie to me. I felt, and it was interesting that the cinematographer and visual effects guys had worked on the last two Transformers movies. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't care about any of the human characters, certainly. And the only one that made any sense to me was Kyle Chandler's character. Vera Farmiga's character was insane, what she does. And I did not like it at all. I have it at 95.
Okay. Um, yeah, so this is actually my type of movie
Uh-huh.
generally. I don't know if you remember, but this was a weekend that I was super excited about.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I was pretty let down by this weekend. Um, yeah, so I didn't mind the visuals as much as you. I don't know what your viewing experience was. I saw this in IMAX, so it worked for me in the IMAX visually. Um, Plot wise, there's just not much there. What there is there, it's kind of predictable. The way it's going, like nothing surprised me about Vera Farmiga's character. Literally nothing. I could have
Yeah.
predicted
It
the
was the worst.
resolution for that character very early on. Um, but yeah, it just I watched it and I'm like, I don't care about any of this. I
I
mean,
thought it was edited really choppy too.
mm,
Like instead of getting a full two, monsters fighting shot that would have been exciting, it was like all of a sudden you'd see just like the arms and the head and then and these weird close-ups, and then they were trying to get the perspective from someone looking on the
right.
ground, which I thought was so weird, and it just took away that awe and spectacle. I, I found it very frustrating, all the choices they made.
Yeah. I mean, the visuals in the IMAX redeemed it a little bit for me, so I didn't hate it as much as you. Not even
Yeah.
close. And all of my friends seemed to really enjoy it leaving the theater, which
Hmm.
these one of them especially seemed annoyed that I didn't just jump on the bandwagon of
Yeah.
loving it. But yeah, I have it at 44.
Hmm. So then you saw Ma that weekend?
I did, yeah. So this was another one that I was looking forward to. It looked like a nice campy horror film. Um, but yeah, this was just a movie that wasn't scary. It wasn't funny. It was just weird characters. I did not really get Octavia Spencer's motivation. They tried to let us side with her or understand her, I should say, by putting flashbacks throughout the entire movie, which was a bit much for me.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it just didn't work. I was bored with it, honestly. I wanted to be surprised. I wanted to really have like some shocking moments, but there just weren't.
Hmm.
Um, so I put this at 46.
Yeah. So then we have Rocket Man. And so this movie about Elton John, I just thought it was great. I thought it was so creative. I loved all of the musical sequences. Yeah, like the actual plot is pretty predictable as far as these kind of rags to riches, destructive musical biopics go. But I thought that what they did with it, with these musical sequences, was so creative, and I don't know, it was just something new and fresh that I hadn't seen as far as the way to tell this kind of story. And I thought Taron Egerton was great. He really nailed it. And Richard Madden was so handsome in this movie. I thought he was very, even though he's a villain, he was very handsome villain for me. I loved it. I thought it was great. And the only thing I didn't really like is I didn't think that Bryce Dallas Howard was very good as his mom. I didn't like her accent, and I don't know. I didn't think that really worked. But I give it a 6. One of my favorite of the year. I just thought it was so creative. And so anyway.
Okay, yeah. Well, this may be the one that we agree the most on then, because I
Yeah.
really enjoyed this. Yeah.
I was
I
afraid of what you were saying about the weekend. I'm like, oh no.
All right. That's why I said for the most part. But yeah, I had been hoping this would be what I wanted Bohemian Rhapsody to be, and it really
Yeah.
was. Like I
Yeah.
was so disappointed with Bohemian
Yeah.
Rhapsody, and this had the creativity that I
Yeah.
wanted. So yeah, the musical numbers were great. I really liked how it wasn't just realism. There was a lot of fantasy
Yes.
elements to it.
Same.
Um, the acting was great. I didn't mind Bryce Dallas Howard. I can see your complaints, but for the most part, she worked for me too. There's really not much to complain about with this one for
Mhm.
me. So I have this at number 7.
All right. Yeah, it's really good. I loved it. So then we had X-Men Dark Phoenix on the 5th. And so this, because I hated Apocalypse, I had very low expectations, and those low expectations were met because this wasn't good. It was very frustrating, telling the Dark Phoenix saga and doing it badly once again. I thought that it was bizarre, the choices they made with Charles Xavier's character. I I don't know. I don't understand what they were trying to do with that. I thought that actually Sophie Turner was very one note in it. I don't know. She's just sort of, I don't know how to explain it, but she was just sort of the conflicted person the whole time. I never got any sort of nuance with her as far as Jean Grey goes. And Jessica Chastain, she needs to fire her agent very quickly because she keeps making movies like this. It's not good. This movie, she was terrible. And she's a good actress, so she
Hmm.
should not be terrible, but ooh, she was bad. It had a couple good action scenes, but yeah, it wasn't good. And I have it at 88.
Okay, yeah. I didn't think this looked good, so I feel justified, and I didn't watch it.
Yeah, don't blame you. Okay, then Late Night was on the 7th, and I saw this at Sundance, and then I saw it again, and I really liked it. I thought it was really charming, and it kind of reminded me of a Nora Ephron movie from the 90s, and where you have the heroine and there's like a little bit of a romance kind of a thing, but you get that social commentary without it like beating you over the head with it. I thought that Emma Thompson was great in her role. I thought it was funny. I liked Mindy Kaling. I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was really sweet, and I have it at 15.
Okay. Yeah, for me, this is the definition of a good movie that
Uh-huh.
just really it doesn't excite me either way. So, yeah, it worked for the most part. It kind of gave me Devil Wears Prada vibes.
Yeah.
I didn't think the jokes were especially funny, especially when the characters are doing stand up. I didn't find it funny, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, it had good points, good messages. So yeah, I put this at 31.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Then Pavarotti, I saw about the famous opera singer, and this was a pretty standard documentary as far as just going through his life and something you would see a normal kind of celebrity biographical documentary. But oh my gosh, the music was incredible on the big screen, and to hear that sound, they did long stretches of just of the music, and it was incredible. I absolutely was blown away by that, and so I gave it positive review at 34. Uh, and because it was interesting, and he was an interesting person, and the music was outstanding. So there. All right. So this is one I know we're going to very
Oh
much
yes,
disagree on.
I'm
We
excited to talk about this
have,
one with
we
you.
have The Last Black Man in San Francisco. So I saw this movie at Sundance, and I there's some really good parts about it. I did like in general the performances, and I thought it was beautifully shot, but I felt like the movie was continually shouting at me, and there wasn't really hardly any story at all, and I thought it was way too long for the type of sort of art piece that it was trying to be. And by the end I just felt exhausted by it, and I I was like, okay, I got what you were trying to say in the first 30 minutes, and then you just, because there was hardly any story at all, I just was I don't know, I grew frustrated with it. And I just felt like the movie was just continually just characters were just shouting all the time. And I was like, what is going on here? It didn't work for me. I feel like it's this year's Sorry to Bother You, which I also didn't like. And there were lots of parts of it that I didn't really understand why they were there. I didn't really understand the point of Danny Glover's character. There's a point where you meet the protagonist's mother, and I didn't really understand what that was doing for the story. And there's like weird montages where you see like street preachers, and they talk about rotting fish and toxic oceans, and I don't know. It just at 2 hours I was bored. I was tired of all the shouting, and it just wasn't for me. But I know a lot of people like yourself love it. So there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I have it at 85.
Oh, that hurts my heart. Yeah, so I talked about that grouping of movies that I really love this year. This is in it.
Uh-huh.
I'll just start with the lead. It's number 5 for the year for me
Yeah.
so far, and it could easily go up.
Cool.
This was a movie that I saw, and almost immediately after leaving, I told myself I have to see this again. So I saw
Uh-huh.
it less than a week later and brought other friends. I'm like, you all
Uh-huh.
have to come see this. Everybody I saw it with loved it, and I remember specifically saying to them, I don't understand how this doesn't have a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I
I'm the
don't understand how
worst.
anybody could think this is not a good movie. And then we talked about it, and I found out that Rachel gave it a rotten review.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wish I could say I get your criticisms of it. I really don't. I think that, especially with this topic of gentrification, it would be so easy to come off as preachy or vilifying a large group of people, right or wrong. I don't think it does that at all. I do not think this is a preachy movie, even though it could have very easily been. I think this movie, if you have to sum it up, it is a love letter from this guy to this house that he has family history in. Um, and I don't know, it's just beautiful in every way. The cinematography, the very first scene,
Uh-huh.
it's just the camera shots, everything is just beautiful. You kept talking about various things as criticisms, like the preacher, the mother scene, and I'm like, I love those scenes. They worked for me, and I don't like things that are blatantly pretentious, which
Uh-huh.
I think some people could say that about this movie. I don't think it is. I don't think it
Uh-huh.
is at all. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about this.
No, I love it. I love that you are
Yeah,
passionate
yeah,
about it. I think
and
it's great.
so I don't know how much you know about like the history of the actual guy involved. So the lead actor, this is his
Uh-huh.
first acting role, and this movie's based on his life. So he's basically playing himself. Actually, his name in the movie is his real name, and I kind of saw his best friend is like um, the director. The director has been friends with this lead person, and you kind of have this creative person kind of expressing their feelings about Jimmy. That's his name and his story. And I don't know. It's just I could see this movie a lot,
Uh-huh.
and I don't think I'd ever get bored. So I can't recommend this enough to everybody else. Don't listen to Rachel. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Her opinion, she's entitled to it. I think it's wrong.
Yeah, hey, that's that. It you don't make a movie like this without it being like I don't know, somewhat divisive as far as I mean, it's just art. Like what kind of art
Right.
speaks to you? And this I just thought that I just grew tired of it. I thought it was too long for the type of art piece it was
Yeah.
trying to be.
I
And
really, yeah, I didn't have a time. I didn't have a problem with the runtime. I would like you to try to give it another chance someday and see if your opinion changes at
yeah,
all.
it's
Um,
true. I have not seen it since Sundance, and that's always
okay,
a crazy experience going to Sundance
right.
because I saw like 6 movies that day, so it's kind of nuts. So yeah, I maybe I will.
Okay.
Um, okay, then we have The Secret Life of Pets 2, and I'm not the biggest Illumination fan, but I liked the first one well enough, and this I thought it was charming. I thought it was sweet, and it feels like 3 episodes of a television show, but I was fine with
Exactly.
that. I don't know. I don't mind episodic, things. I mean, I like going all the way back to Winnie the Pooh, that I love, and so I'm fine. I was fine with that, and I thought that particularly the two plots with uh Gidget learning to be a cat. I thought that was cute and funny, and I liked Max and learning to be tougher and braver. That was cute. The one that didn't work for me as well was the tiger rescuing from the circus. That one I didn't really like that one that much, but overall I thought it was cute. I enjoyed it. I have it at 48.
Okay. Um, yeah, so we have pretty similar feelings. It definitely reads as three episodes of a TV show, kind of interwoven,
Hmm.
without a lot of connectivity. I think that's my biggest issue with that. I don't mind the different stories going on. I just wish they were a little more connective and cohesive.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you said there's nothing wrong with it being episodic, and I'm like, she's right. There really isn't, I guess, other than the lack of cohesion. But yeah, for the most part, it was a cute little movie. It made me laugh at parts, especially the part with Gidget. Um,
Yeah. That was the
it,
best part for
it
sure.
was for sure, and I put this at 35.
Yeah. 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 All right. Then I saw a movie called Papi Chulo. And this year, I feel like there's been a big theme of sort of unlikely male friendship has been something that's been in a lot of movies, going back to Green Book. And this is another example. Matt Bomer plays this gay man who has lost his partner and is just devastated. And he hires this guy to this immigrant man to resurface his deck, and they end up becoming friends. And it was really sweet. This movie was just had a huge heart, and sometimes I don't think they were really taking this like complete mental breakdown that the character has like seriously enough. But it was just a sweet movie. I don't know. I really I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cute, and I have it at 25.
Okay.
Yeah. It had its heart on its sleeve. It was really cute. So then I saw Shadow, and this is a martial arts film by the famed director Zhang Yimou, and he's done films like Hero, and this movie was incredible as far as the fighting and the cinematography. So beautiful. Everything is filmed in sort of a monochromatic sort of style, and when there's a lot of blood in the movie, but it's very over the top, so it didn't really bother me. But when you'd see that bright red, it would just pop even more compared to the style. And there's all these fight scenes that are on this big yin yang symbol, and it was really beautiful. Everything in this movie is gorgeous, and the fights are incredible. And there's all these fights staged with these kind of umbrellas made of blades. That was so cool. And there's a really amazing action scene where they're storming this town, and they were literally like riding these umbrellas through the street, and the rain is there's enough to slide. Anyway, it looked so cool. There's a love triangle that they do here that I actually liked, and I usually hate love triangles, but I thought it was pretty interesting and well done. And overall, this movie is just so pretty and so well done. So if you like this kind of thing, then you'll love it. It's really good. I have it at number 7.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is one that I've wanted to see, but I didn't get around to seeing it. But man, the trailer looks incredible.
Oh,
So if
it
anybody listening hasn't seen the trailer, just
yeah.
pause, go to YouTube, look up Shadow trailer. It looks
Yeah.
really good.
It's really, really good, and I can't wait to see it again. It was a little bit confusing sometimes because there's one character where there's a secret twin, so there's two characters who look, basically the same, and with the subtitles and everything, sometimes it was a little hard to know. Oh, who are we? Who is talking here? What's going on? And some of the other diplomacy and some other stuff going on was a little confusing. But I think if I watched it more than once, that would help with that aspect. But it was amazing, incredible. So definitely one of my favorites. Then I saw a little movie called American Woman, and I feel like that Hollywood has a really hard time connecting with working class women, that they're either like just completely troubled or uh I don't know. I just feel like rarely do you get somebody that feels authentic to me, of that. I don't know, like people that are sort of living in kind of trailer parks, or that kind of a level of working class woman, if that makes sense. I feel like they almost never get it right, but I feel like this one actually did. I thought Sienna Miller was great as this. You see her from her 20s all the way through to her 40s. You see her get married. You see her, she faces a tragedy with her daughter that is really sad. And Christina Hendricks is great as her sister. I really liked that. Aaron Paul plays her husband. He was really good. They had nice chemistry together. I just really thought this was a good movie. And so I have it at number 12.
Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with this one at all.
Yeah.
I don't see Sienna Miller in too many things lately, though.
Yeah, she was good. She was really good.
So this has been the end of part 1 of our podcast on the summer movies. I hope you enjoyed it, and make sure to listen to part 2 that will be coming up tomorrow. So thanks so much, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.